Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, my name is fauzi. I'm from Student English Education Department, fourth semester. And now in this video, I'm going to present episodes from the following podcast. Actually, I have three podcasts. The number one title is Suit. Second is the world biggest iceberg, and the last is Earth getting greener. Alright, so let's explain. Alright, point number one is summary of the content. The summary of content number one is this episode discusses the life and reign of Hatshepsut, one of the few female pharaoh of ancient Egypt. The main topic of the episode is how she gained power, ruled successfully, and left a lasting legacy in architecture and trade. Alright, one interesting point, point the host and guest mention is how Hatshepsut use propaganda and divine claims to legitimize her vision or as a pharaoh. The episode also highlights the later efforts by successor to erase her memory from Egyptian history. Alright, that the summary from podcast number one. Okay, let's move to summary episode number two. The world biggest iceberg. This episode discusses the movement of A23A. I don't know what is it, but the largest iceberg in the world is that, which broke off from Antarctica decades ago, but only recently started drifting again. The main topic of the episode is the journey of A23A and its potential environment impact, especially near South Georgia Island. One interesting point the host and guest mention is that such a large iceberg could disrupt the feeding grounds of local wildlife like penguins and seals. The episode also highlights how climate change is connected to change in iceberg and ocean condition. Yeah, that is from podcast number two. Alright, let's move to the last summary podcast of the content also. Is planet Earth getting greener? That is a title. This episode discusses whether Earth is really become greener, as claimed by some public figures like Jordan Peterson. The main topic of this episode is an analysis of satellite image and data over the last few decades to check if vegetation is actually increasing. One interesting point of the host and guest mention is that while some areas, especially in China and India, are indeed becoming greener, other areas are facing deforestation and desertification. The episode also highlights how different definition of greening can change how the situation understood. Hmm, that interesting, right? Okay, let's move to second point. Explanation of key terms or concept. Alright, from podcast number 2, one concept I learned is divine kingship. This term means the belief that rules authority comes directly from the gods. Sorry, in the podcast, it's explained how heptaset. I can pronounce it. Heads have should. Yeah, justified her usual role as a female pharaoh. This concept relates to real life because similar ideas existed in many ancient civilization. Yeah. Okay. The explanation of key terms podcast number 2 is one concept I learned is calving of iceberg. This term means when chunks of iceberg from glacier or ice shelves into the sea. In the podcast, it explained as how A23A separated from Antarctica. This concept relates to real life because iceberg calving affects sea levels and ecosystem. And the last explanation of key terms or concept is one concept I learned is satellite vegetation monitoring. These terms mean using satellite images or to track the growth or loss of planet life over time. In the podcast, it's explained as a method to scientifically measure if the Earth is becoming greener. This concept relates to real life because it helps governments and scientists. It helps create environmental policies. And let's move to what is it? Language expression. From podcast number 1 is breaking the glass ceiling. This is an idiom meaning overcome barriers that prevent women or minorities from reaching leadership positions. Written in stone. That's it. Number 2. This idiom means something that is permanent or unchangeable. Okay, that's from podcast number 2. Number 1. Sorry. Let's move to number 2. The language expression is tip of iceberg. This idiom means a small, visible part of a much larger problem or situation. And second, on thin ice. This idiom means being in a risky, dangerous situation. That's from podcast number 2. And let's move to the last podcast. Language expression, green shoot. Shoots. This is an idiom that means early sign of growth or recovery, often used metaphorically in economics or nature. People usually say this when talking about helpful beginnings. Yeah, that's all from me. And thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.